Welcome to the official podcast series by POTENZA, where innovation meets insight. In this series, we dive deep into the world of SAP, explore the power of robotic process automation, and unlock the true potential of data analytics. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or just curious about the digital transformation shaping our world, you're in the right place. Tune in, stay curious, and let's explore the future of enterprise technology together. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on YouTube for more powerful insights. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We've got a really highly relevant topic lined up for you today.
Yeah, we do.
One that touches on this completely invisible but honestly profoundly influential layer of modern enterprise architecture.
It's everywhere.
Right, exactly. So today we are pulling our insights from this really compelling article by POTENZA. It's titled Ethical Challenges in Document Understanding, Navigating Responsible AI and Document Automation.
Quite a mouthful, but a really crucial read.
It really is. And our mission for this discussion, for you listening, is pretty straightforward. We're going to explore these invisible AI systems that are currently reading basically our most sensitive documents.
Everything from your medical records to your mortgage applications.
Right. Tax filings, resumes, you name it. We're going to uncover how these automated workflows might actually be making biased or just entirely opaque decisions right under our noses.
Behind our backs, really.
Yeah, behind our backs. And then we'll look at how the smartest organizations are fixing this. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, it is a vital area of focus.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's highly applicable to you, the listener. As someone who tracks the practical implementation of emerging tech, you are probably curious about how AI actually impacts your daily life beyond, just talking to chatbots.
Right, the stuff happening in the background.
Exactly. Every single time you apply for a loan or submit an invoice or file an insurance claim, a document understanding system is almost certainly the first entity to process it. It's the silent infrastructure running global administration.
And the scale of it is just, it's difficult to overstate.
Oh, absolutely massive.
Right. And I think a useful starting point here is clarifying what document understanding actually is right now. Because, most of us are familiar with the basic OCR to NLP pipeline. We know how optical character recognition pulls text off a scanned PDF.
The old school digitization.
Exactly. And we generally understand how natural language processing parses that text. But the POTENZA article really emphasizes that modern document understanding goes way beyond just a machine reading text.
It's not just reading.
No, it's this highly complex process of extracting, classifying, and really making sense of context to route data.
Right. And if we break down that tech stack without getting bogged down in overly dense jargon, the friction and the real value happens when these systems try to derive semantic meaning.
Right.
OCR and NLP are essentially just the plumbing.
Just moving the water around.
Exactly. The heavy lifting is done by deep learning models. They act as the decision engines. So they look at a completely unstructured document, say a sprawling 50-page commercial lease, and they have to classify it correctly.
Which is hard enough on its own.
Right. Then they have to extract specific, highly contextual fields, like finding the exact liability clause or the specific rent escalation percentage, and map that directly into a back-end system.
Completely without human intervention.
Zero human touch.
And the why behind this, the operational drive, is pretty obvious. Organizations are just drowning in unstructured data.
Absolutely drowning.
The text highlights that companies deploying these tools see massive reductions in manual labor and faster workflows.
Turnaround times drop dramatically.
Great. They're converting all this chaotic content into structured, searchable records. And theoretically, reducing the human data entry errors that happen when somebody's just staring at paperwork for 8 hours a day.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the operational efficiency is incredible, undeniable, really. But achieving it through irresponsible AI introduces massive downstream risks.
Yeah.
It's incredibly common for an enterprise to get tunnel vision on that immediate ROI, the cost savings, the throughput speed, while completely neglecting the governance required to run these models safely.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the POTENZA piece points out a fundamental shift in how this tech is applied. We're no longer just talking about simple data entry. AI is moving aggressively into decision support territory.
It's actively influencing outcomes now.
Right. Financial approvals, legal reviews, HR workflows. It's making calls.
And that transition to decision-making is precisely where the root of the problem lies. The core issue traces back to the training data sets.
The data the model learned from.
Exactly. Neural networks learn by processing thousands, sometimes millions, of example documents. If that historical data reflects historical patterns of inequality or lacks variety,
The model just copies those flaws.
it codifies them. It assumes those historical biases are the correct baseline for future decisions.
But let's ground that for the listener. Because if an AI is just, say, extracting text from an invoice, how does bias actually show up? It's not like a piece of software has a prejudice against a specific vendor.
Well, it doesn't need to have prejudice. It just needs a narrow frame of reference. The POTENZA text gives a really great example with the invoice problem.
Oh, right. The enterprise suppliers.
Yes. Imagine a massive multinational trains its automated accounts payable AI exclusively on invoices from its largest enterprise suppliers.
So highly standardized, clean documents.
Generated by modern ERP systems, perfectly formatted. If they deploy that model across the board, it will systematically misprocess invoices from small suppliers.
Because they look different.
Exactly. Regional formats, older accounting software, even handwritten notes. The system flags or misclassifies them, which delays the payment.
Wow.
The AI effectively penalizes the small business just because their formatting doesn't match the massive enterprise pattern it was taught to recognize.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's an operational bias. But then the article shifts to the HR problem, which obviously carries a much heavier societal weight.
A lot more human impact, yes.
Right. If a company uses a resume screening model to filter candidates, and it was trained on their biased historical hiring data.
It looks for proxies of past success.
Exactly. So if they historically hired mostly from specific universities or even specific zip codes, the AI weights those factors heavily. It can disadvantage candidates from underrepresented groups.
Not because they lack the skills.
Right, but because their data profile doesn't look like the historical norm.
And we see this exact same structural failure in the legal problem.
Contract tools.
Right. A contract analysis tool trained on standard English U.S. corporate law will completely struggle with multilingual contracts or contracts governed by European law.
It might confidently extract the wrong clause entirely.
It will. And the scariest part of all this, the part that industry leaders are really waking up to, is that bias is often completely invisible.
Right. The system doesn't crash.
No, it just keeps processing documents at lightning speed. You don't see the bias until it causes measurable harm. Financial exposure, legal liability, massive reputational damage.
Because you could be running a biased HR screener for a year, celebrating your efficiency, totally unaware you're systematically rejecting diverse candidates.
The damage is done long before the error is caught.
Which really brings up the concept of the black box. And this is the transparency gap the article talks about.
Yes.
Deep learning models ingest an unstructured document and spit out an answer, a classification. But we can't easily see how they arrived at it.
We can't read the logic pathways.
Right. You can't just look at the code and say, oh, it rejected this resume because of line 42.
This raises an important question. How do you fix an error if you don't know why it happened?
You really can't.
You can't. If a system misinterprets a critical medical code, stakeholders need to know the failure point to prevent it from happening again. That lack of transparency makes it impossible to audit decisions.
Or comply with regulations, which are getting stricter.
Much stricter. Defending a decision to a regulator by saying the algorithm calculated it is no longer legally viable.
So what does this all mean? We have these automated systems triggering payments or compliance filings without a human ever looking at them. Who is actually responsible for a mistake?
That is the accountability void.
Right. Organizations must define clear ownership. Is it the compliance officer, IT, the software vendor?
It has to be explicitly mapped out, and that ties directly into the data privacy mandates that POTENZA covers.
Which is huge given what these documents are.
Exactly. We're talking about highly sensitive documents. PII, financial records, protected medical histories. The strict requirements for securing this data span the entire life cycle.
We aren't just talking about a strong password here.
Far from it. Organizations must enforce encryption at rest in the storage environment and in transit across APIs. They need strict role-based access.
So the IT guy fixing the AI can't just read through everyone's unredacted medical files?
Precisely. And then there's the principle of data minimization. The AI should only extract the specific data points it needs for that exact workflow.
So if it just needs a date of birth.
It ignores the social security number sitting right next to it. It doesn't extract it. It doesn't store it. Coupled with strict automated retention and deletion policies. Keeping unstructured sensitive docs forever is just an unacceptable liability now.
Okay, so the stakes are incredibly high. bias, black boxes, accountability voids, privacy liabilities. But we know we can't just stop using AI.
No, you can't go back to manual entry.
The efficiency gains are just too good. So the question is, how do we deploy it ethically? What is the playbook?
POTENZA lays out a really practical, three-pronged strategy for responsible AI.
Let's go through it.
Prong 1 is fixing the bias at the source. This means building diverse, representative data sets. You have to intentionally ingest documents with messy handwriting, weird structural layouts, regional differences.
You can't just feed it the perfect examples.
Right. And you have to conduct regular model audits. Establish baseline performance metrics so you can track if the AI starts deviating or degrading over time.
Okay, so fix the data. What's the second prong?
Explainable AI, or XAI, and confidence scoring.
I love this concept. Explain this clearly for the listener because it's fascinating.
It really is. Instead of just giving an answer, the AI essentially gives itself a grade. For every data field it extracts, it outputs a confidence score.
So it might say, here's the invoice total, and I'm 98% sure I'm right.
Exactly. But if the document is a blurry scan or the formatting is strange, it might extract a value but give it a confidence score of, say, 60%.
It knows it needs help.
It's quantifying its own uncertainty.
Which feeds perfectly into the third prong, which is my favorite part of the playbook. Human in the loop, or HITL. Because the AI handles the high-volume, high-confidence work. But those edge cases, the low-confidence ones, get routed to human reviewers.
Right. Organizations set specific thresholds. If a critical medical form needs 99% confidence, and the AI only hits 90%, it automatically halts the workflow.
It kicks it over to a human.
A human reviews the discrepancy, uses actual judgment, and corrects it.
It amplifies humans instead of replacing them. It doesn't ruin the ROI of automation because the AI is still doing 95% of the heavy lifting.
Exactly. It's a safety valve. And to tie all this together, you need compliance and auditability.
The logging.
Comprehensive logs. You need to know exactly what was processed, by which version of the model, when it happened, the exact output, the confidence score.
And if a human stepped in, what they changed.
Right. Evolving global regulations are going to demand this level of visibility.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. If we synthesize the main takeaway from the POTENZA text, it's that ethical AI is not just a compliance checkbox.
It's not just red tape.
Right. It's not a constraint on adoption. It is a genuine competitive advantage. Organizations that prioritize this, the transparency, the fairness, the privacy, they are better equipped to scale sustainably.
And build actual trust.
Exactly. Which brings us to the POTENZA pro tip from the article. Briefly, it's this. Combine AI efficiency with human oversight to ensure value, transparency, and accountability.
That balance is the entire key to the playbook.
It really is. But before we sign off, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over. Something that builds on all of this.
Let's hear it.
If AI systems are increasingly responsible for reading our documents, how long until organizations stop formatting documents for human eyes altogether?
Oh, wow.
Right? Imagine a future where contracts and invoices are just dense code generated by one AI, designed specifically to be instantly ingested by another AI.
Completely bypassing human language.
Exactly. Bypassing us entirely. What happens to human oversight when we literally can't read the paperwork anymore?
That is a wild thought, but a very real possibility.
Something to explore on your own. Well, that wraps up our deep dive for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep an eye on those invisible systems, and we will catch you next time.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the POTENZA podcast series, where we decode SAP, automate with RPA, and analyze with precision. We hope you found today's conversation insightful and inspiring. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the technologies transforming tomorrow's enterprise. Got questions or ideas for a future episode? Drop them in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time. Thank you.